Right. Krishna, are you there? Can you hear my voice? Hello? Hello, Krishna?
Sir, I can hear you.
Yeah, hi. Okay, fine. So just give me a few minutes. I'm just waiting for the others to join. In 1 or 2 minutes, we will start. I'm your trainer. Just give me one or 2 minutes. Just give my Yashwant. People, I send a message to all. Okay, guys. Yep. Let us start the demonstration. First of all, let me confirm with everyone who joined. You guys can see the screen or not, and then I will start it. Okay. Who can? Mahendranath, can you hear me? Please, guys, please respond. Achyut, Chandani, Mahendranath, Ranjit, Shravan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Vain Babu and Yashwant. Yeah. All right, guys. Myself, I'm Nag Kottapalli. Right. I'm a automation engineer having around 15 plus years of experience, and I'm working in one of the top MNCs in Hyderabad. And I have around 10 years of online trainings with different automation testing technologies. I started my career with a tool called QTP and QTP, UFT. After that, Selenium, Selenium with Java, Selenium with different technologies. Uh, you know. That's what my experience, right? And this particular training, we are going to talk about QA, testing with both manual testing and automation testing, right? In this session, please be with me. Anyways, you joined, right? So first of all, thank you very much for joining. As you already joined, please be with me for 20-30 minutes, right? Within 2-3 minutes, I can't inject you everything directly. So please be patient and try to listen what I'm saying, right? In this 30 minutes or 40 minutes of session, I will tell you what exactly we are going to cover in this training and what exactly you needed. Okay. Uh, First of all, the total list of items that what I'm going to cover in this training, it was already documented here, and we already gave this document, and you just read the document, and you will be knowing that what are we going to cover as part of this training. So I gave you both the things, like what are the topics of manual testing and what are the topics that we are going to cover in automation testing. Both the things are given to you guys, and we have all these things available here. And anyways, it will be given to you, and you can save it with you, and it will be there forever. But I'm not going to read the document first. What I'll do is I'll try to explain you what is the model in any software company. If a software application is getting developed, why do you have to test the application? and when you will go for manual testing and when you will go for automation testing. Okay, I will just explain you quickly, and then I'll derive each and every topic that I'm going to cover in this training, right? I usually don't like reading the documents. Instead, I will try to explain you the things diagrammatically and practically. Please try to follow me, right? I'm again requesting you, please be with me for some time. Okay, you already joined, so that definitely you will get something, right? Or I know with my all my experience, I'll try to give you as simple as possible, right? That's other thing. And people who, okay, those who can't hear me, they can check their speakers. Of course, if they can't hear, even they don't know, we already send a message in the group. Okay, they'll check the speakers and they can rejoin so that they can. And the diagram that you're seeing on my screen, okay, is something I'm calling it as ALM, application life cycle. Life cycle is nothing but you are into a particular task from day one to the last day of the task. That can be anything. We generally call that as a life cycle. Here in software testing, in software application development also, see here, this is how the model will be. Okay, in this model, okay, how the application will be developed. See here, imagine we are developing an application called gmail.com. We are developing an application called gmail.com. So you and me, we are all us into one team, and we guys are developing the application. How it will be, who are all the different people involved, and what are the different stages in that application? When do I have to conduct manual testing? When do I have to conduct automation testing? And in manual testing, what I do? In automation testing, what I do? Right? I'm just trying to explain you that. Okay. First, if you see the right side of my diagram, I mentioned Ram, Ravi, Rani, Roja. Who are all they? They are the real customers of gmail.com. Just like me, I am also a real customer to gmail.com application. If you see, I'm checking my emails. See, I'm just checking my emails, right? So uh, I'm also a real-time customer to Google. I can compose an email and I can send an email kind of thing. So I'm also a real-time customer to that gmail.com. Okay, so Ram is having his own computer. Ram is having his own computer. His computer is a computer with Windows 7 operating system. So we know, right? I'm using a computer and I'm using a Windows. I installed an operating system called Windows 7 into my computer. You might be using your own computer. You might have installed a Windows 10 operating system into your computer, and you might be using a particular browser. People may use Google Chrome, people may use Internet Explorer, people may use some other browser. So different people will use different browsers, different operating systems, different browsers and different operating systems, different versions of the browsers, different operating systems. So now Ram, Ravi, Rani, Roja, they are having their own what do you call computers, and they were accessing the application developed by Google. So here, who will be developing the application? If you see my diagram at the left side, I have dev 1, dev 2, dev 3, meaning Google recruited a development team, and this development team will develop. Mahendra Nath is saying there is no audio. Uh, Let me send a message. Please join again. Please, I'm responding to Mahendra Nath. Right. Okay. So Google recruited a development team. Okay, and there are three, if not three, some 4 or 5 or 6 developers will be there. Each developer will be given his own computer, and what he will do is he will write the software on his computer, and they will push the code into a place called source control. This source control is definitely required for the testing people also. Anyways, you're going to learn manual testing as well as automation testing. In automation testing, you're going to write some code, and you have to do just like a developer, what a developer will do. So these three developers of Google, they have written some code. In Gmail, I will have inbox is one module, sent items, trash, like that have different modules. So developer 1, he will implement inbox. Developer 2, he implemented sent items. Developer 3, he implemented trash. Now, end of the day, we have to merge the code written by the three developers, then only the final Gmail application will be ready, right? So here there is a mechanism called pushing the code, pulling the code, like that. There will be some mechanism that will be called as source control. Today in the market, there are so many source controls. I will come to manual testing, guys. Please be with me. I'll make it very clear, right? There will be something called source controls, Bitbucket, TFS, SVN, VSS, like that. We will be having different. Uh, Somebody is trying to say something, but your voice is not clear at all. Try to mute yourself. Right. So the developers wrote the code, and the code will be merged into one common branch, and that will be pushed into one computer. I'm just giving it high level. Okay, that will be called as server. Okay, what Google will do is they will have one computer. Okay, and what they do is whatever the code written by the development team, that will be merged into one common branch, and the code available in that common branch, that will be called as master branch. From that branch, the code will be shifted. There is a terminology called deployment, but that code will be shifted into one computer. They will call it as a server. Okay, that and whatever the code, right, which is pushed into that server, that particular computer will be onto the public network, that what I say, that will be on the internet, where that will be visible to the real customers called Ram, Ravi, Rani, and Roja. Okay, so that we will call it as production server, meaning the computer where the real people will see that application is called production server. So here I will repeat it. The development team will write the code, right? That will be moved into your source control. From there, that will be moved into one server, and that server will be visible to the real customers, right? Here, if there are any issues in the code that you have written, and if you directly move that into the production server, then who will see that? The real customers like Ram, Ravi, and Rani, they will see that. Okay, then they will report a issue. If they report a issue, sir, we could not able to compose a mail, something like that, that will be called as a production issue, right? If there is a car manufacturing company, if they are manufacturing a car, let me say, if they directly move the first piece of the car into the showroom, if it is not thoroughly tested, then it will be taken by the real customer, which should not happen, right? For that reason, what that manufacturing company will do is, before they move the car into the showroom, they will test the car in their industry with some expert people. If the model is doing very good, then only the car will be kept onto the showroom. Exactly. In software development also, when the development team is developing some software application, right, before you move that into the real computer where the real customers are going to access your application, that will be moved into another computer called a pre-production server, right? So there is a process called deployment. There is a separate team called DevOps team. What that DevOps team will do is they will move the code into one of the pre-production server first. Just like the car manufacturing company, what they did before they put the main car into the showroom, 2 3 pieces of the same model will be tested by them thoroughly as per the government regulations, and they will have given some promise to the customers. They have to be tested first, then only they have to go to the showroom, meaning our computer, that what we are calling it as production server, is like the showroom where the real customer will see that. Prior to that, what we have to do is we have to deploy the same code, we have to push the same code, we have to shift the code into one of the server which is before the production server, meaning before sending your car into the showroom, what you do, you will test the car at your company premises. Exactly. Here also, when you are developing any software application, I'm taking only a web application as an example, right? before you put your application onto the production server where the real people will see, what the DevOps team will do is whatever the code that has been developed by the development team that is merged into the master branch, that will be moved into a computer, right, which is not really given to the real customers, that will be in our company premises, right? So based on the capacity of the company, people will maintain 3 or 4 servers prior to the production server. They will be called as pre-production servers, right? So for example, my DevOps team deployed the code into the first server. So I may call it as dev server or server A, server B, server C, or 1, 2, 3. So that is just a computer where my application will be hosted into that. Now, Google will recruit a team called QA team, called testing team, right? So I have 3 testing team available, and every tester will be given his own laptop, his own computer. Now, what Google will do is Google will ask the testing team, guys, the application that which we are going to release it in the production server, it is deployed into one of our pre-production server. You guys have to test our application thoroughly on the dev server. Once it is tested thoroughly on the dev server, if you give a green signal, then we will move it into the next server, because before we go to the customers, we have to test this application clearly. Only after your certification, we will move that into the production server. Like that, what the DevOps team will do is first they will move the code into the dev server. The same code will be goes to the production, that will goes to the real customer, but before it goes to the real customer, it will comes to the QA team. So they recruited the DevOps team, they recruited the development team, they recruited QA team. So who will comes into picture first? Development team, and then the DevOps team, and then the QA team. Now the same requirement will be given to the DevOps team, the development team and the QA team. So there is a login module, right? So that login module has to be developed. It should have username field, password field, and then you have to click on submit button. Then you have to check whether it is there or not. So that is the requirement given to the development team. The same requirement will be given to the testing team. By the time when the development team is developing the application, what the testing team will do, they will write something called test cases, meaning they have to test the application, right? So what my testing team will do is one document will be given how the application is going to look like. So what my testing team will do is, meanwhile, while the development team is writing the test case, developing the software application, they will write something called test cases, how this application has to be tested. Okay, so they will write some use cases like, see, you have to launch the application, step number 1. For that, URL is required, and the expected value is title should be Gmail, and what is the actual value, and they have to enter the username, they have to enter the password, then they have to click on the login button. So for each and everything what they have to do, they will write the test cases. So I'm repeating, by the time when the development team is developing the software, the QA team, what they do is the same requirement is given to both of the teams. Then the QA team is getting ready with the the things to be tested. So first they will write the test cases. So they will not have the actual value and status and all. First, one of the QA person, he will write the test case for logging into the application. Step number 1, launch the application. What is the URL? Then what is the expected value? Title should be displayed. And second step, I should see the username field. If I enter the username, then password field has to be enabled. Then enter the password. 1234 is the password. Then login button should be enabled. Then click on the login button, though, so that user should be logged in. Like that, he will write the test case. So tester 1 will write the test case. Once the application is ready, tester 2 has to test the application. Then what he will do is, whenever the deployment team deployed the code into the server, he will get an email saying that, guys, could you please test the application on the first server? Then the testing team will start their work. the tester will be given a computer, right? Then he will open his computer. On his computer, he will open a browser like Google Chrome or something. For example, I am opening Google Chrome browser. I will open a test case. I will open a test case and I will read this launch application. What is the URL? Gmail.com. I'm a tester, right? What I do on my browser, I will type HTTPS. I'm doing it manually. Gmail.com. This is what I will be typing. So when I type it, I have to get the login page. Did I got the login page or not? Once after calling the URL, if I got the login page, I will see the title. What is the title here? Gmail. So is it matching the expected value? Yes. So actual value, I saw this as Gmail. So what is the status? This is a pass. Then I have to see the username field, right? I have to see the username field. Am I seeing the username field? Yes. Okay. Then enter the username. Am I seeing the next button? Yes. So mark it as pass. Like that, he will read each and every statement and he will compare the actual value with the expected value. When actual value and expected value is matching, then he will mark it as a pass. Like that, the QA person has to test the application manually. The one that I did here is called manual testing. What I'm doing, I'm opening the application with my own fingers. Okay, I called gmail.com. I'm entering my username. I'm entering my password. Like that, I'm doing my own stuff. Okay, I'm testing the application because I have to give it to my customers. Ram, Ravi, Rani, they are waiting. I have to give the application. Before that, I have to make sure that there are no errors in my application. That's the reason my DevOps team, what they did is they deployed the code into the first server. And we got an internal email saying that, guys, the code is developed into the dev server. Could you please test it? So QA1, QA2, QA3, we joined into the company. They gave us one laptop, and dev server is a separate computer which will be there in a separate room. You will never touch the server with your hands, meaning you will never do testing on a server will be at a remote place. You will be given your own computer. What you do, just like me, you will open a browser, you will call the URL. As you are in the company premises, this dev URL will be accessible to you. It will be called as an intranet application. Production will be internet application. All the remaining servers will be within your company premises. So if the production URL is https gmail.com, dev server will be dev.gmail.com. That will be in the intranet. As you got an email from DevOps team, they said, guys, please test it on the dev server. Then what you do as a QA team, you have already written some test cases. So how do you wrote these test cases? They gave you a requirement document. They gave you a requirement document. On that requirement document, they said you have to launch, you have to log in, like the things are there. By reading the requirement document, right, you will write the test cases. Who will write the test cases? The testing person. Who is that guy? QA person. So he is ready with the test cases. Application is deployed into the dev server. He will test it. Once, if all the things are looking good, this testing team will send a certification email saying that, guys, the application is doing very good on the dev server. Now what the DevOps team will do is, the same code which is deployed into the dev server will be promoted into the next server called a QA server. Now again a mail comes to the DevOps team saying that, guys, we promoted the code into the QA server. Could you please test it on the QA server? Meaning, before a car is going to be put into the showroom, one single model is not enough. To test it in many directions, 2-3 pieces will be tested by the manufacturing company. Then only they will get 100% confidence on the car. Then it will kept into the showroom where real customers will purchase the car. Exactly here also, if you test your software application on one server, you may get only 30% confidence, because I should get 100% confidence. If that is a banking application, you can imagine I'm doing a fund transfer, there is a defect, right? If there is a defect in the banking application, who is going to pay for that? Maybe customer may lose some money. In the fund transfer there is a bug. Customer may lose the money, bank may lose the money. That should not happen. For that, you have to test your application thoroughly. So testing on one server may not give a full confidence. meaning the QA team may lose something on one server. So the same code will be promoted into the other server, right? Namesake, I'm calling it as QA server. It can be some A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3 server. It is a server where your code will be deployed, and the QA team, they have their own computers. They will open a browser. They will call the IP address of this server so that the application will be opening for them on their server. For example, I will open one application, that is my dev server. I will show you how the dev server will be, how the production server will be. See, I have an application called mealbright.com. So this is the dev server, meaning it will not be given to the real customers. This is an application. This is a application like Swiggy and Zomato. This is called dev.mealbright.com. This is not the application which has been given to the real customers. This is the application which is in our company premises. We will be testing it. What happens if I book a food? Am I going to really do this or not? So me as a testing team of my company, I will test it on the dev server. If it is done, then we will be having the production server. We will be having the production server where the real customers will see that. Okay, so dev.mealbright.com is a uh, application which is on the pre-production, and I will show you my production server. My production will have a https mealbright.com direct URL. So dev server means the testing team will test it before it goes to production. Now both will be looking like the same, but the data behind Swiggy and Zomato. So if you go to the production server, the real food, real restaurants will be there. Whereas in dev server, that is dummy data. We will be checking that whether it is doing good or not. If you are satisfied as a QA team, then you will say yes, it is doing good. We can move on to the production. See, this is production server. Mealbright.com is the production server. You are testing your application, and then you are giving a green signal so that you will go to the production, right? So that is the job. So here the QA team is going to play a major role. If the QA team is not testing the application thoroughly, then there will be an issue onto the production server. It should not happen. So now what is happening here? First round of testing you did on the dev server, you got 30% confidence. Then the same code will be promoted to QA server. You guys have to repeat the same process. Whatever you did on the dev server, you will be repeating that. Then if you are confident, again you will send a certification email saying that, guys, we tested it on QA server, it was very good. Then DevOps team will promote the same code into the stage server. Again, you guys have to repeat the same process. You have to certify it on stage server. So after finishing these three types of testing in levels of testing on your application, 30%, 30%, 30%, like that, your confidence levels are boosted to 100%. Your confidence levels are boosted to 100%. As a QA team, you are very much confident that our application is very good. Then what you can do, you can hit the production server, meaning whatever the code that has been given to you by your development team, you guys thoroughly tested that, it was very good, and you are going to release it to your customers. Generally, you might have heard about a statement like that. People will say, guys, tomorrow we have a production release, tomorrow we are going live. What is the meaning of that? Tomorrow we have a production release, tomorrow we have a go live. What is the meaning of that? You tested your application thoroughly on your lower environments. Lower environment like dev server, QA server, stage server, we will call them as lower environments, right? Once you in the sense QA team certified that on the lower environments, it will goes to the production server. The code which is tested by the manual team thoroughly, that will goes to the production server. So here the the QA team will test the application manually, and there is a necessity of testing the application automatically as well. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? See, I'm opening my application with my own fingers. Uh, Guys, so I don't wanted to waste your time, and I'm just going like anything. If you have any questions so far, am I clear? Am I explaining you good things? And do you have any questions so far? And next thing is, I'm going to show you the content list of the items that we are going to cover. First of all, I just explained you the system, how it will be. what is the necessity of manual testing, what is the necessity of automation testing. I'm going for automation testing now. Anyone? uh, okay, let me move forward. So as we have the system ready and we are testing this application, right? So first round, generally the testing team will be there and they will test the application manually. First of all, you have to understand what is the meaning of testing the application manually. So you will be writing something called test cases. You will take a Excel sheet or you will take some other application. There are some applications where you can write your test cases. Exactly, you will write the test cases like this. Okay, and if you open the application with your own fingers, and if you are typing the username, if you are clicking on the next button, and if you are clicking the password, and you're checking whether am I able to log in into the system or not, that process will be called as testing the application manually. You are conducting manual testing, and you have to compose an email and you have to see whether it is going or not. So after logging into the system, if you are composing an email on with your own fingers, meaning click on the compose button, enter the to address, enter the subject, enter the body, click on the send button. If it is really happening, then that will be called as manually testing the software, right? So initially in this model of ALM, the QA team will test the application manually. You have to test the application on the dev server. The same process has to be repeated on the QA server. The same process has to be repeated on the stage server. And I gave you the best example for the different servers, right? See here, this is the server dev.mealbright.com is my dev server. We call it as a pre-production server, and the other server I'm calling here mealbright.com. This is the production server. Even you also can book a food order from here. It's a US application. If you are in US, you can click on this item, family biryani pack, and you can pay money and you can book this order and that particular region. Santa Clara is the region they are in. This is production server. This is the real food that you are seeing here. But if you come to dev.mealbright, whatever the items that you see here, it is dummy data, right? It is only for testing purpose. The testing team will test the application here. Then they will give a green signal. Then it will be promoted to the production. Then in the production, you can do a real, order. Right. That's how the team will do a manual testing. Then why do I have to go for automation testing? Is it really
Sir,
required?
I have one
So,
question.
yeah, please.
Sir, sir,
Yeah.
actually, when I will test on QA, like QA1, and when
Hmm.
I will test QA2, there will be something different, like a same process I have to do again. That's
Yes. Here, QA1,
yeah.
QA2, QA3 is means they are people, team. QA team person 1, QA team 2, QA team 3. I'm saying that these are
Sir, but
the three. Huh.
okay. But the process, whatever we will do, the QA will do for testing,
Hmm.
same
Hmm.
process we have to do also QA2 also. There,
Yeah.
it will be different for testing.
That depends. See, there will be two different types of testings that you have to conduct. You will have something called functional testing. You will have something called performance testing.
Yes.
Okay. So here, as high level, the ultimate goal of the QA team is they have to certify the application in all the directions. If you're going to release a car into the showroom, you have to test the car in all the directions, your point of view, right, and performance point of view, and there will be some government rules, safety rules. You have to certify everything, meaning I'm just giving this responsibility to the QA team. Here in my view, QA1, QA2, QA3 is nothing but the testing team. Dev1, Dev2, Dev3 is nothing but development team. Dev server, QA server, stage server, these are the servers. So you will be testing your application on the these servers. You may conduct both the testings. You may conduct functional testing, you may conduct performance testing. What do you mean by functional testing and performance testing? Functional testing is nothing but you have to log in, compose an email, send it. If it is happening, that is called functionality. What do you mean by performance testing? if I log in with 1,000 persons at a time into the computer, how it is performing? There is a application like Amazon.com. Tomorrow there is a offer, right? Then what happens? Everybody is eagerly waiting. At that moment, if 1 million people hit the server, how it is behaving? If one people hit the server, no problem. If 1 million people hit the server, what happens? So that is the responsibility of the QA team. They have to load the server with 1 million virtual users and they have to test it. And if that is sustaining, then tomorrow by the time when you have the release, it will work. Otherwise, it will crash. So it is your responsibility as a QA team. You have to do functional testing and performance testing, and that will be decided by the management. So there will be one more server called performance server. I mentioned dev server, QA server, stage server. There will be one more server called performance server, because the performance server should have more capability, more database connectivity. Otherwise that load, it can't sustain with the load. So you will do something called load testing and stress testing. There will be two departments in QA, functional department and performance department, but end of the day we call them as QA only. So I just mention it as responsibility of QA has to conduct functional, QA has to conduct performance, right? On the performance server they will do performance testing, and on these servers, these servers like dev, QA and stage, they are intended for performing the functional testing. So the same thing will be repeated here. On the dev server, what they did, on the QA server they did this, they will do the same. On the stage server also they will do the same. There will be one more server called performance server. On the performance server, people will conduct a performance testing, right? That's how. And the team that they can define their own style of testing on server to server, that depend. But I'm telling you in a general way, these servers are dedicated for functional testing, so only functional testing will happen on these servers, right? That's about
Okay,
the
sir.
process.
So in manual testing, there are means it has some category like for doing the manual testing.
Category means,
It has been divided like any other part like for manual doing the manual testing.
see, when
Means
you are
like types
conducting,
of manual testing. It's there.
when you are conducting manual testing, there will be different testings. So I told you, right? I gave you one classification, functional testing and performance testing. Again, in functional testing, you will be having so many things, right? When I'm talking about the contents of this training, I'll tell you what I'm going to cover as part of manual testing and what I'm going to cover as part of automation testing. First, I'm just telling you about the system. This is how the system. So so I have
Okay.
shown you how to do the manual testing. In manual testing, there will be so many kinds of testings like smoke testing, regression testing, sanity testing, right? System testing, user acceptance testing, like that, alpha
Will
testing,
you
beta
cover
testing.
all those?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, definitely. I told you, right? I will show you the list of items that we are going to cover, right? That will be there anyways, and you will be having all that stuff. I will come to this list. See, there will be some development life cycles like waterfall model, V model, agile, and software development life cycles, and what are the different testing fundamentals and what is the defect. I will come to them in a while.
Yes, yes.
Let me
Fine,
finish
sir.
this explanation, right? I'm just trying to explain you manual testing and automation testing. Once you're done, I'll tell you the list of contents so that we can conclude the demonstration, right? So uh, I'm just trying to explain you about the necessity of going for automation. See, different types of manual testing we'll come to that. But first of all, I told you, right, manual team will test the application that will be promoted to the production server, and then that you are calling it as go live or production release. Then Ram, Ravi, Rani, they will enjoy the application. If there is a problem, they will report a defect. That is called production defect. A defect raised in the dev server is not going to be that much serious, but a defect raised in the production server by Ram or Ravi, that will be, there will be a lot of effect on you only, meaning on the QA team, because ultimately people ask who tested this application, QA person. Then why did you not test it in the lower server? Why it went to the production server? Like that, people will ask you. So it should not happen. That's the other point. right? Moving on to automation, me, I'm testing the application on all these servers one by one. Then what happens if I have many releases, release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4, like that? If I have multiple releases, then every time I have a release, every time I have to test my application on dev server, on QA server, on stage server, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Nowadays people are into agile. Agile means people are running this development in a model called sprint model. Sprint means every week or every 2 weeks there will be release. But in the olden days, maybe after 6 months or 3 months there will be release. But nowadays your application will be released every week. Every week you will have some working software out, meaning every week the entire process I explain you has to be repeated. Then it will be a very tedious job for the manual tester to test the application every week. Last week I have 10 features, and this week we are adding 10 more, 10 plus 10, 20. The next week plus 10, and next week plus 10. Meaning what is happening, the number of things that needs to be tested by the manual tester is becoming increasing day by day. Then what happens, this guy cannot test all the stuff manually. If you test all the things manually, what happens, you are going to waste a lot of your time, because aggressively you guys are giving releases. Then how you can test it manually? Then if I have many releases, what the testing team will do is, what are all the things which are already tested, they will hand over it to a automation testing tool, so that the things which are already tested, whenever the next release is going to come, in the next release they will ask the automation testing tool to repeat the process, right? This will be something like this. I'm having a habit of having a cup of coffee every day. If I'm preparing cup of my coffee every day in the morning, it is taking around 30 minutes of my time, right? So if I'm doing the preparation of my coffee for 30 minutes every day, okay, initially that was good, but maybe after a month or something like that, I realized that preparing this cup of coffee every day is a waste of 30 minutes of my time. So I don't wanted to waste this time. Let me purchase a robo where it will prepare a cup of coffee for me and it will get it for me. Earlier I used to do that, but now I'm handovering it to an automated system where it will prepare the cup of coffee for me. Exactly what I'm doing is, earlier I'm doing this testing activity manually with my own fingers. I'm opening the application, I'm entering the username, I'm entering the password, and I'm doing it. But this is a daily activity, because we are keep on adding new features. Those new features I will be testing, but already existing things I will hand over it to an automated system, where that automated system will do it for me, right? As a human I did it earlier, but I'm handovering it to automated system. So I purchased a robo and I will ask the robo, get me a cup of coffee, so that it will get a cup of coffee for me. For the first time I have to teach the robo how to prepare the coffee. Next time I will ask the robo to repeat it, right? I can ask for 100 times or 1000 times. 1000 times the robo will prepare the coffee in the same way, but as a human I may not repeat that with that much accurately, and it will take very less time. Similarly, in automation testing also we will do the same. We will take an automation testing tool and we'll give some instructions to the tool in particular language. So there are so many tools available in the market. If you go with qtp, qtp knows vb. If you go with selenium, selenium knows java, meaning you have to talk to the automation tool in one of the language that what the tool knows. And you have to ask the tool, hey tool, can you enter the username? Hey tool, can you enter the password? Hey tool, can you click on submit button? Like that, we need to give some instructions to the tool. Earlier, you as a human, you are doing, please follow me. You as a human, you are entering the username, you are clicking on the next button, you are doing everything. But now I would like to ask the tool to do all that stuff on behalf of me. See, I entered the username, click on the next button, right? Enter the password, click on the next button. I'm doing it manually, but it's a redundant process. It is a redundant process. I have many releases. First of all, you have to know the reason behind why are you going for automation testing. We are into agile, we have so many releases. Every week we are doing a release, meaning application will be developed, piece by piece, piece by piece. Application is getting developed. Every week we have releases. So if you say, if you take java, today java 15 is there. We have started with java 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, like that. Different releases of java is there. Similarly, every application, take Gmail. Gmail, it is there from 20 years. Every month or every week, they keep on adding something. What the responsibility of the QA team, they have to test it every week. So in that case, all the existing things, if you automate, then it will be easy to test it. So we are going to take the help of an automation testing tool where it will do all the things for you, right? So for that, we have to choose one testing tool like QTP, Selenium, CodeEdu, or Renorex. There are so many tools, and you can go for any one tool. So that tool can be, anything that has to support so many things. That should be free. That should support web applications. That should support object-oriented programming languages, right? That should be platform independent, right? That should not ask you for any special add-ins. That should not ask you for any special objectized tools. Like that, there will be different things that what you have to keep into mind, and you have to select a tool. And among all these tools, Selenium is having an edge. Selenium is open source. Selenium is developed in Java, and it is Java is open source. Java is platform independent. Java supports object orientation like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation. Like that, Java support many features. So by keeping all these things in mind, majority of the automation testing team will go with Selenium and Java as the combination, right? The other things, of course, they have their own pros and cons, but comparatively, Java is having edge with Selenium as the combination. That's the reason majority of the people will go with Selenium and Java, right? So for that, we have to learn Java, then we can do automation. In this automation testing, what are you going to cover? What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to replace a human, meaning how to enter something in a text box. If this is a checkbox, how to click on a checkbox. If there is a button, how to click on a button. If there is a link, how to click a link. And more than that, suppose I'm taking this APSRTC website. Here also I have the from city I have to enter. So let me enter Hyderabad, select the city name. I have to enter the destination place. I'm entering this. See, all these things I'm doing manually. There is a calendar, select the date of journey. These things I'm doing manually, but automation testing is nothing but we have to replace the human, and the automation testing tool has to do that stuff. So entering the text into Hyderabad, and entering the text as Guntur, and opening the calendar, selecting the date from the calendar, and clicking on the check availability, these things your tool has to do. That can be Selenium or QTP or something else, the tool has to do. Now we are going with Selenium and Java as the combination. What I do is, I will teach you Java first, and then I will teach you how to interact with each and every object. In a normal typical web application, you will have a text box, you will have a button, you will have a calendar, you will have a link, you will have multiple windows. Suppose for example, I have this timetable, this is a link, click on this link, it will be opening in another window. If it is opening other windows, how to interact with this window and that window, handling the windows, right? And there will be some applications like Paytm. There you can do something called mouse hovering. So as a human, I can do everything because I have mouse and keyboard with me. I can do that. But how can you do that with Selenium? See, if I put my cursor here, automatically this drop down is coming. Then how can I interact with that with Selenium is another thing. And there will be something called iframes. How to handle iframes? So this is an iframe in Paytm application. I will only take real-time applications. I will not take any demo applications. So we will do the initial training with Gmail application. Then we'll go to the application like this MealBright. It is a live application in US, and I'll take APS RTC. There I'll teach you how to interact with a text box, a button, a calendar, and how to switch between multiple windows. And if at all, if I'm getting some alert, see in this APS RTC, if I do a wrong navigation, alert will comes. Unless if I don't accept it, the application will be freezed. I can't do anything on the application. How to handle the alert, and how to do mouse hovering, how to handle these iframes, and all keyboard actions, all mouse operations, right click, left click, kind of things. It was just now today I wrote a class for another team. See, these are the different functions that generally we do. Press enter button, press a tab key, and do a right click, do a mouse hover, right double click, right click. Like that, we will write some functions. This is the code written in Java. Don't worry if you don't know Java, and don't worry, we will start from scratch of Java, and we will be doing that, right? So that's about need of going for automation testing, and the topics that we have to cover in automation testing. And our journey will start first with manual testing, because without testing the application manually, you can't enter into automation. First, manual tester has to certify the application, then only the automation testing has to be started. Because you have multiple releases, whenever you have so many releases, testing that manual is a bit difficult. It is I can say impossible, because see, Ram, Ravi, Roja, Rani, they are your end users, right? They are using different browsers, Chrome, Firefox, IE, like that, different browsers they are using, different operating systems they are using. Then, as a QA team, how many operating systems you can have with you, how many browsers you can have with you, how many versions you can have with you. If you take Google Chrome, 90 versions are there. On the globe, there will be millions of people who are using different versions of your browsers, different operating systems. Then tell me, as a manual testing team, how many computers will you take, how many operating systems, how many browsers, how many browser versions. Doing that on manually, I can't say impossible, that is possible, but you need, years of time. But if you go with automation testing in Selenium, there is something called remote WebDriver, and there is something called Sauce Labs, where you can get a configuration dynamically using the cloud environment. I'll show you practically how to do that. Okay, we'll implement a real-time project with the executing your test cases remotely on in a cloud environment, like Sauce Labs is there, Browser Stack is there. On them, we will run the test cases where you can do something called cross browser and cross platform testing. What do you mean by that? Testing your application on different operating systems, testing your application on different browsers with different versions also. As a human, that is very difficult for you, but with automation you can do it very simple, right? So that's where we have to go for automation testing. Okay, so in our journey, first we will start our journey with manual testing. In manual testing, I will teach you what are the different software development life cycles. There are different models like waterfall model, V model, agile model, something like that, right? Once we are done with that, there will be something called your test plan. In the test plan, what you do, there will be something called test strategy, test plan. In the test plan, you will have a design. In design, how to write test scenarios, how to write test cases, how to report a defect, right? And what is the defect life cycle, and which tools that people are using to report a defect, and what are the different types of testing that we have to conduct, right? Right. In different testings, like there will be something called smoke, regression, sanity, right? And you will do something called these things: cross browser testing, cross platform testing. There will be something called compatibility testing, right? Reverse compatibility, forward compatibility, and you have something called security testing, right? So these testings we have to conduct. As part of that, you will be having something called these things, your user acceptance and system, like that. There are so many definitions on different variants of testing. I will be focusing on all your things: how to write a test case, what are the test case design techniques, how people will write testing different test cases, right? So each and everything will be explained to you from the manual testing perspective, right? At high level, I told you what is manual testing, what is automation testing. Of course, see here, all the points that I mentioned, they are here, right? I told you, right? Unit testing, compatibility, system acceptance, user acceptance, smoke, sanity, regression, retesting, right? Installation, recovery, localization, globalization. What are all these testings, right? So this is all the part of your QA team before you release it into the production server. You guys have to test all these things. What is white box? What is black box? But I'll tell you what are those testings, right? This is the list that we gave it to you for part of manual testing. And I will cover one more important thing called Agile. Nowadays, people are into Agile. What is Agile? What people are really doing in Agile? What are the Agile principles? What is a sprint? What is a scrum? What is daily stand-up? What is sprint retrospective? What is showcase? Right? What is grooming? Grooming, while grooming the story, there will be something called a game will be played by the team. All right, how the story points will be assigned to the story, right? I will teach you those things from a manual perspective. Once we are done with manual testing, we will enter into automation. In this automation, we will start our journey from core Java. What is Java? How to install Java into your computer? From there, what are the core Java concepts? Starting from what is a variable, what is the data type, from there. And I have a very good designed slides. These are designed by me only for your understanding. For example, one of the topic that I have to explain you in Java. How can I start my journey with Java explanation? Like how to create a project. Then project will contain packages. A package will contain classes. Class contain members. Members are variables and functions. Variables are again classified as instance variables, local variables, and again instance variables are characters, integers, boolean, floating point number, string. this is how we can classify the evolution, like how this Java has to be started for learning, right? So each and every topic I will be taking you like this. Okay, I have plenty of slides that I have designed with my own fingers. It was not taken from anywhere. You can see this is self-designed slide. So each and every slide has been written by me for your better understanding. And I will be sharing you all these documents, right? And I'm talking about the contents of Java, right? So what are the if conditions? If condition, if else condition, nested if condition. Then what is for loop? And what you can do with the for loop? And what are the string functions? Lowercase conversion, uppercase, string comparison, split and trim it like that. Okay, and what is a for loop, and how can you do different operations with for loop, do while loop, something like that. And OOPS concepts, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, interface, like that. All your core Java and collections, static array, dynamic array, array list, hash map, all your what do you call collections will be covered. Once we are done with that, we'll go with Selenium WebDriver. In Selenium WebDriver, each and everything that I told you, I told you practically, right? If there is application called APS RTC, what are the typical things? And Paytm, what are the typical things? Like that. In a normal web application, how a human will do, all the things has to be replaced by Selenium. That we will be doing, right? Once we are done with individual things with Selenium, right? Here you will be having something locators and selectors, ID, name, class name, CSS value, XPath, so many things will be there. It was listed here. Okay, so how to cover work with all of them, right? And each and everything. And there will be something called frameworks. There is something called page object model, page factory. There is something called JUnit. There is something called TestNG. And how can you run the test cases from TestNG? How to run the test cases parallelly, right? And how can we put some dependencies like that? We will be talking about your Selenium frameworks. What is keyword-driven framework? What is data-driven framework? As a whole, what is hybrid framework? How to test my applications on all the browsers, IE, Chrome, Mozilla, and how to generate a report, meaning once you are done with your testing, your manager is eagerly waiting for you for the report. You have to say them, sir, I executed 100 test cases. Out of them, 85 got passed, and only few things are failed. And here is the report. Please take a look into the report. Like that, you have to give a report. And if something is going wrong, you have to show the screenshot as well. Whenever you do an execution, every time I do an execution, a new report will be generated. So this is a report which will be purely generated by your automation test code. It will not happen overnight. I will tell you and I'll teach you how to generate the report. This is not written by a human. It was written by your automation code. See, launch, login, and then book a food order, and then order it. It has it here. It is a test case to reject the food order. Like that, you will be having different reports that you will be generating. Okay, this is a report which was already automatically generated. Your training has to conclude with the report generation. This is a pie chart. You have to give a demonstration to your teams. You have to say, guys, I executed 29 test cases. Out of them, this many steps are there. Total 319 steps are there. Out of them, all are passed, right? This is the report that I'm giving you. And if something got failed, that failed percentage will be shown to you. This is also generated automatically. We have something called extent reports. That is an API. We will use that and we will generate this report, right? So finally, in our final phase, we will implement a live project using all the concepts that I explained you from Selenium, and your training will be concluded with a live project. I will not give you any demo project. Everything you might have already observed. I will take APS RTC, I will take Gmail, I'll take Paytm, and this Mealbright, and there is another application called Apple Vacations. I only take those applications and I'll teach you the topics, right? That's from my end, guys. And there are a lot of things that I can talk, but this is a simple demonstration, right? Already I took 1 hour of time, and thank you very much for your patience. But this is what our plan is, right? And now I'm leaving it to you. If you have any questions on top of this, you can ask me.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
So actually, as I am a fresher, I joined the company, but in my team member, they told me to learn the automation testing, but they are not using like in my team Java. They are using they all know JavaScript and C Sharp. Then what should I do? It will be helpful for me to learn this because I told
Uh,
that automation with Java, then they told okay, but in your team member, in my team member, no one know Java. That's why.
the point here is starting automation testing with Java is just like learning driving. If you know driving, then you can drive any vehicle. So if you know Java, if your team is asking you to go for C sharp, right?
C
You
Sharp or
can go.
JavaScript.
JavaScript, it's a different thing. Of course, if you know automation with Java, you can train yourself into different directions if you have time. If you don't have time and if you directly have to jump into C sharp, right, that will be a different story. But you can learn Selenium with Java and you can convert yourself into C sharp. Java and C sharp, they're almost
Uh,
same, right? The if
yeah.
condition, for loop, everything will be just like a Java only. But if I say the statement at high level, you can't believe me. But in real, that is the picture. So if you wanted to go in that direction, you can go. But if you really wanted to go with only C sharp, I just mentioned the details. This is our team number, right? And this is the duration of course will be 2 months, right? Hardly first 20 days we will be covering manual testing concepts, and then core Java for 15 days, and 15 days Selenium and framework implementation. Totally, we will take around 2 months of the time where we will cover everything,
Sir, but
right?
this web driver and this whole thing will be different for Java and C Sharp.
No,
When references, package, those all things we.
everything and all the functions, everything will be same for Java and C sharp. Only the thing is the technology will be different, the tool will be different. In Java you will use Eclipse, whereas for C sharp you have to go with the Visual Studio,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yes, it is a daily 1 hour session where I'll be covering them. And if the topics are not covered, we can extend. So I'm just, for the number sake, I'm mentioning that it's a 2 months process. If the topics are not covered as per the list that I have given, I will definitely extend it, right? That's one thing. Yeah, so Java and C sharp, so that's the point. If you know Java, going to C sharp is not a big deal. But if you exactly if you need C sharp, just reach out our team. I can do that. I'll teach both C sharp and Java, right? If you want to go for C sharp, then you have to go for Visual Studio. That is purely a Microsoft technology, and this is the tool. And the one that I'm showing here is Eclipse, where we'll do with Java, with Java, right? And your sessions will be recorded, and the slides that I'm showing you will be shared, and the Java code that I'll be writing, I'll be sharing it to you, and you guys can practice by looking at the slides and the videos and all. Right, and this is Visual Studio where we will practice same thing. Whatever that we do in Java, that will be repeated here. The same page object model, everything will be the same, right? Anything else, guys? Chandni, can you hear me? Mahendra, Samir, Shravan, Venu, Vishwant. First of all, I have to appreciate your
Yeah, yes.
patience. You guys are with me for more than an hour. If you got something from me, that will be, a pleasure for me. So generally, this is how the model is. This model is very important. Today, DevOps team is mandatory, right? The deployment will happen by the DevOps team. And if you know what is go live, if you know what is production release, and if you know what is a server will never be touched by the person. QA team will never touch the server physically. You will be given a computer and it will have a URL. You will call that. Somebody will have some impression that dev server means I will do testing on dev server. Of course, the statement is correct, but you will not touch the dev server physically. Server will be there in server room. You will take the URL from your computer, you will call the server. Same thing I did in case of Mealbright. See, I'm calling mealbright.com. Where is the server? Server is there in US. I'm calling dev.mealbright.com. This is the application sitting on the dev server. I'm testing it from my computer, right? Okay, guys. So if you guys are okay, please reach out to my team. Once you confirm, we will start our regular sessions. So here is the email ID and the mobile number I mentioned. Please reach out to my team and we will start our sessions. As I said, it's a 2 months training and daily 1 hour. Every session will be recorded. Everything will be uploaded into Google Drive. You can take it from there. Okay, I will stop the meeting, guys. Thank you once again. Thanks a lot. I hope all of you will be joining with me in the regular sessions. All right. Thank you.